Hi there, this is Mark Hundley and this is Live at 5 for a Thursday. I hope you don't mind that I've been wearing a few little hats over the last few days. I find I feel a little more secure in them, and it also keeps the back flash from blinding you with all the lights. I know that's a little self-effacing, but that's kind of where we want to start. Today we're talking about people who break easily. People who break easily. Today's Live at 5 finds me continuing with the analysis of a conversation between the Skin Horse and the Velveteen Rabbit in Margery Williams' wonderful book, The Velveteen Rabbit. The past two videos that I've shared have focused on the process and length of time necessary to become real. To summarize, the process requires becoming, and it takes a long time. It doesn't happen overnight, or it doesn't happen quickly. Today, I want to address the first of three types of people for whom becoming real is difficult. People who break easily. The lead quote is this: "You become. It takes a long time." And then the Skin Horse shifts and he says, that's why it doesn't often happen to people who break easily. People who break easily. What an interesting thought. Things that break easily often come with a label that says fragile, handle with care. With this qualifying statement, we may surmise that people who break easily are indeed fragile and must be handled with care. Do you know anyone like that? Do you know someone who is constantly fragile and must be handled with kid gloves? If the wise Skin Horse is correct, then a fragile person will have experienced a great deal of difficulty in the process of becoming real. Now, I have to qualify the definition of fragile for my purposes here. Fragile is a relative term. There are many times in life when we will find ourselves in a fragile state. When we have experienced loss of any kind, the loss of a loved one, for instance, we can be very fragile. When we are physically ill, we can be fragile. When we have been victimized by any type of abuse, we can be fragile. When we have experienced social or financial setbacks, we can be fragile. When we are faced with an extraordinarily challenging set of circumstances that truly are outside of our norm, we can be fragile. And you know what I'm thinking right now is that there are many of us finding ourselves in some of those situations in light of what's going on around us. We're in a pretty temporary, fragile state. It may feel permanent, but it's temporary. I'm not referring to temporary circumstantial fragility here. In fact, often when we find ourselves in a temporary fragile state of being, we often emerge stronger as a result of the choices we make in the midst of the circumstances we face. The fragility to which the Skin Horse and I refer to in this particular setting is that pervasive state of fragility. It is the state of mind and being and action and acting that tells the world, here is a person who is not able to deal with the struggles of life. They must be handled with care. We all know people who walk through life continuously fragile. They break easily as a result of this constant state. People who break easily often find themselves unable to negotiate change or embrace uncertainty, to accept responsibility or think logically, to converse rationally or respond positively. They find it difficult to evaluate objectively or serve selflessly or plan purposefully. Big question: who's responsible for the creation of those fragile personalities? Many studies have been conducted through the years attempting to answer that question. It's the age-old nature versus nurture debate that fuels many of these studies. Are people born fragile? Are they made that way as a result of life experiences? Are parents responsible for the evolution of these fragile personalities? As much as we might like to find comfort or justification for personal fragility as a result of some of these studies, I want to propose another perspective. What if, regardless of our nature, nurture, or life experiences, we were able to have a say in the outcome of who we become? What if, through learning coping strategies that move us toward personal health, we were able to reduce the likelihood of becoming persistently fragile. Wouldn't that be interesting? I believe we can. In all fairness in this discussion, I have to offer a few suggestions. That would be bad of me to not. To offer a few suggestions about how we might move in that direction of wholeness. I'm a firm believer, and I think I've said this before, in the purposefulness of behavior. I believe that we behave in order to do, be, have, experience, avoid, keep, create, rather than because of. When we behave from the because of platform, it allows us to often shift blame and responsibility for our actions to others or other situations. We find ourselves saying something like, well, I did or said what I did because she offended me. So in essence, my behavior is her fault. Had she avoided offending me, I wouldn't have said or done what I did. So don't get on me, get on her. You see, and that's a real difficult place to be. I reject that. I reject that kind of thought and logic. When we operate instead from a platform of in order to, we actually can uncover paths to understand the purpose of our behaviors, and then in the process, find and follow new and more meaningful directions. In order to make that kind of shift, we might consider 5 things. Here are my little 5 things. We might consider embracing challenges. Now, I don't know about you, I don't get up every morning and say, gee, what's the next challenge I can face? Let's go find one. No, but I have to be willing to embrace challenges. Sometimes challenges come my way and I want to run from them or avoid them or pretend they don't exist or name them something else. But if it's a challenge and it's mine, I need to learn to embrace it, to hold it close so that I can know exactly what it is that I'm facing and begin to work through the process of handling it. I can involve in persisting in the face of setbacks. Setbacks are a given. It's not the number of times I'm get knocked down, but it's how many times I get up. It's that persistence. It's that creation of grit and determination and showing up every day, doing what I know to do that will help me get through these difficult times. Sometimes I have to view the effort as the path to mastery. Often we say, well, if I don't know everything or if it's not all clear, then I'm just not going to do it. But folks, the effort in and of itself is actually the path to understanding and perfection. Perfection doesn't just come and then we act. Sometimes I need to ask for and learn from criticism. Boy, criticism, this is a tough one for me. I don't know about you, but it is a little tough one for me. So what I've been working on for a number of years and find myself working on now is asking for, getting the people who love me, people I trust, who have my best interest at heart and say, hey, look, this is what I'm thinking about doing. This is what I'm thinking about offering. This is the direction I'm thinking about going. What do you think? Shoot it down. Tell me what your thoughts are. What am I missing? What am I overthinking? What am I underthinking? And then criticize my delivery so that I can be a better person and deliver a better product myself or whatever it is that I'm delivering. But if we learn to ask for and learn from our criticisms that come our way, that will be a help. The final thing, finding lessons and inspiration in the success of others. A long time ago, I used to say, before the internet came around, I used to say, now go find a newspaper and dig through the newspaper and find articles about people who have faced insurmountable obstacles and see what they've done to get through those things and see how you compare to them. Now all you have to do is Google situations like that, or even set up Google notifications where you set up certain keywords and it'll give you articles that come out on a daily basis about people who meet difficulties head on and what they do. And the beauty of this is looking at who they are, what they possess as an individual, and see how closely I am made to them. What do I possess that they possess? What did they do that I can do? So it becomes this real strong challenge that I can learn from the successes of others so that I can be successful in the same ways. But those are 5 suggestions that I have for avoiding that breaking easily syndrome. Remember, the Skin Horse did not say that it was impossible for those who break easily to become real. He didn't say that at all. He said it's difficult. It doesn't often happen. That reminds me of one of the favorite phrases of my favorite mentor and professor in grad school at UNT. He said, when we look at difficulties, he said, Mark, always remember, it's difficult but not impossible. So that's what the Skin Horse was saying. These things are difficult but not impossible. That belief in the possibility can drive us forward and help us do what we need to do. Big difference in those two. But I just want to close by saying I'm hopeful that when we tend toward fragility, and we all do from time to time, that we'll pause, and instead of tending and leaning that way, that we'll demonstrate the courage necessary to change our steps, go in a different direction, and follow the path to realness. Now tomorrow, we're going to talk about a second type of person for whom becoming real is difficult. And those are the people who have sharp edges. Are you intrigued? I hope so. Come visit with me tomorrow. I'll get my tang untangled here in just a second. But thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I hope you have a great evening. Peace.